Today, I'm going to be putting on this transmission pan, high capacity, my 2013 Ram 2500. This has the 6.7 Cummins in it. The transmission is a 68 RFE, and this is a high capacity aluminum transmission oil pan from MAG-HYTEC. So first things first is to drain the fluid that is currently in the pan. Now, when I did this previously, changed the fluid that is, I drilled in a drain plug here. And as you can see, I mean, it's been dripping ever since, just like a slow drip, which is one of the reasons why I'm going ahead and replacing it, because I want, A, I like the higher capacity of fluid, and B, that MAG-HYTEC pan has a built-in drain plug. These aftermarket ones that you put in yourself clearly aren't that good. So we're going to drain this, and if you do not have a drain plug installed, then best of luck to you. Basically, it's messy. What I did without the drain plug is I have a pump, suction hand pump vacuum, and I just pumped up as much of the fluid out here as I could from the dipstick. And then when you take off the pan, you got to balance it so it doesn't spill, and it's good luck to you. Now, while that continues to drain, I'm going to go ahead and replace the filters. There's two filters on this transmission. You got this one right here, this elongated filter, which is held on by a single Torx screw, and then it's got a gasket on the other side. And then this here looks like your typical oil filter, except it's a lot smaller. There you see is your dipstick poking through here. So I'll go ahead and loosen this up. So this thing's pretty much done draining for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and put my filters back on. One thing to note about this long filter is that the tube here that seats up in this part of the transmission, it comes with this little ring. And I think that ring from the stock one is stuck in there. I can't get it out. But I made the mistake when I changed the fluid in this the first time. I left this ring on this filter, so basically I had two rings in there. And long story short, my transmission ended up shutting down and it wouldn't go into gear. So I had to take the pan back off, drain the fluid, and figure that out. That I took this ring off and then reinstalled it, and everything was good to go. So just be mindful of that. If you have this transmission, the 68 RFE, and you take the stock filter out and that ring doesn't come out, then on the replacement filter, make sure you take that off. Here is the MAG-HYTEC pan. I've taken the gasket and laid it over the edge of the pan, and I went ahead and started a few of the studs. You can do this because the gasket kind of holds them in place enough to where you can set it in place and kind of hand tighten things in there. Another thing to note is that the aftermarket pan did come with new studs, new hardware. I would recommend using those because they are a tad bit longer. They're a little longer because the lip on the new pan is thicker, and it just gives you that extra length and hardware to compensate for the extra thickness. So I'll go ahead and get this put up in place and we'll get it bolted in. Alright, so I'm kind of having trouble getting around these cooler hoses because of the filter, like getting in between the filter and the cooler hoses. So there's a bracket here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera view, but there's a bracket just in front of the transmission for those. So I'm going to take that off and hopefully I can move them out of the way just enough, because these are soft lines on the other side. Alright, so here's the deal. You're going to need a 1-inch wrench. 1-inch wrench. So the issue was when trying to, because this pan is a high capacity pan, it hangs a little lower. So here's the bottom side, there's your long filter, your other filter there. These cooler lines, they kind of get in the way right around this area in between this filter. So it's a tight squeeze. But if you have a 1-inch wrench, if you look over here, this bottom one where it ties into the transmission, if you just loosen up that nut there, that bolt that's tying that cooler line in the transmission, just loosen up enough and it gets out of the way. I've already test fit it, and you're able to push it over just enough to get the pan in there. So we're going to do that now. Also, another thing before you put your pan back on is, I forgot to show in the video, but I did go around the edges and clean up this mating surface really good. So all the bolts are in. Now I'm going to go through, go all the way back around and snug everything up really nice. I'm going to put my bolt back in for the bracket, and I'm also going to tighten the cooler hose back into the transmission. And I'll see you under the hood, and we're going to do fluids. Alright, we're here under the hood. We're going to add our fluid back to the pan. I was looking at the instructions, and it did say to take out the drain plug and add ATF to the O-ring of the drain plug. So I went back under the truck and did that. Now we're here, we're going to fill it up. The stock pan should take about 5 quarts, I think, and the MAG-HYTEC pan adds 2.5 quarts of capacity. So I'm going to start off with 7 quarts and see how that does, and then we'll go from there. I'm using the Royal Purple Max ATF. That's what I've always used. So we're going to take out the dipstick. looking pretty good. Now I am going to let this settle, and I'm going to run it down the road some and let it shift through all the gears to get an accurate reading. But between 7 and 8 quarts should be good. You don't want to add too much, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at 7 quarts right now, and then I'll check it when I get home, and then I can either add. It's easy with the drain plug because you can kind of let a little bit out if you have too much, which makes it nice. You can always add more if you need it, and that's it. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm really excited about this transmission pan as well as the MAG-HYTEC rear differential cover that I also put on today. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link below in the description. You can check out that video if you want to. Anyway, hope you got something out of this, and until next time, y'all take care of yourselves.